I'm Dr. David Beaulieu, and I'm here with more news you can use. I want to talk to you today about something that's near and dear to the hearts of the majority of Americans because we all carry it with us every day, at least the majority of us do, and that's fat. Adipose, the stuff around your belly, belly fat. It's an indicator of lots of different problems: impending blood sugar disease, cancer, heart disease, and we've been told for almost 40 years that fat's bad for us. There are no bad fats. If they are natural, they are organic, they are not bad for you. The only bad fats are man-made fats. When we take a product and we want to give it shelf life, like a Hostess Twinkie, which might have a shelf life of 50 to 100 years, we take the fat in it that's easily oxidized and we make it inert. Now, we used to bubble hydrogen through it, called hydrogenation, and then the fat stops acting like fat. It no longer attracts oxygen. Right? When it no longer attracts oxygen, now it has shelf life. We're told the omega-6 fats are bad for you. The omega-3s are good for you. Nothing can be farther from the truth. Well, we get way too much omega-6. There's an enormous amount of omega-6 in the diet. Yes, there is. But it's not biologically active. The majority of omega-6 in the diet has been either hydrogenated or these days with some other chemical process inactivated so it doesn't go rancid. Now, once it's in your tissues, it still doesn't attract oxygen. That's what rancidity is. It attracts oxygen, it goes rancid. It won't attract oxygen. How about this scenario? Let's talk about cancer because it's a major problem. You've got oxygen in the body. The cells want to use oxygen. So oxygen is attracted in a red blood cell. You've got iron in the hemoglobin molecule. You've got oxygen in the lungs. This little molecule sucks that oxygen across the lining of the lungs, the lining of the blood vessel, the cell wall, and right into that hemoglobin molecule. Now that's attraction, fellas. That's something else. Then that blood cell gets down into the little capillary beds. Now the tissues need that oxygen. Something has to be more powerful than that in its attraction to get the oxygen out. What could it be? What attracts oxygen that much? Fat. Fat. And it's the omega-6s that make up the middle layer of cell wall. The layer of protein, a layer of fat, and a layer of protein. That's our cell wall. That's our endoplasmic reticulum. That's what sucks the oxygen out of the red blood cell. What happens if that fat has lost its ability to draw oxygen? The cells don't want to die. So they go to glucose, they go to sugar, and they begin to burn sugar. And now you have a procession of problems. But one of the biggest is cancer. And we look at the tissues and what the tissues need. And what we hear is omega-3, omega-3, omega-3. The omega-6, omega-3 ratio at the brain is 1-to-1. You need a lot of omega-3 for your brain. But cancer takes place in lining tissue primarily, the lining of the lungs, the lining of the intestines, stomach, mouth, urogenital system, breast, prostate, both tend to be adenocarcinomas. That's lining tissue. And lining tissue, omega-6, omega-3 ratio is 1,000-to-1. There's almost no omega-3 in lining tissue at all. But lining tissue cancers make up 85% of all of the cancers in the industrialized world. Omega-6 is really critical. Again, Brian Scott Peskin, in his PEO solution, tells us why we need fat in our diet. We need an abundance of fat in our diet, but we need the right balance of fat in our diet. And it doesn't come from fish oil. It comes from organic plant sources. This is an incredibly invaluable book, not written by an MD, co-authored by an MD, but basically written by an engineer. And you know how I feel about engineers and physicists. They do the research and they say, you can bet money on it, I've done the research. Consider The PEO Solution by Brian Scott Peskin and Robert J. Rowan, MD. You'll be glad you did.